Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Weekly Tangents. How's your week, Jonathan?
My week is going pretty well. I'm not gonna rehash the Tony the Tiger joke, so it's going pretty well.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So it's December now. That means it's Christmas season. Doesn't matter if you're religious or not, because in America, we get those big boy discounts for it.
Yeah,
So
Black Friday and whatever else I can squeeze in for the next month.
yeah, Cyber Monday, all that good stuff. And there's a lot of things that come out around this time of year. A lot of video games that come out in like November, stuff in early December, all as part of the like Christmas gift stuff. So
hmm
I actually bought something from work this past week that just came out, and it got me thinking of like, man, I was really hyped for this thing, and there's not too many times it's happened. So this week I want to talk to you about like the gifts that aren't necessarily just good when you receive them, but you've actually been like actively excited to receive them.
Ooh, okay. Let me think. There's got to be quite a few good ones, but first I want to ask, what did you get from work?
Oh, I can't tell you that. We're
Oh,
actually
you
not going to
can't.
be talking about it. No. So you know me, I play the Digimon card game. I used to be into Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff. Well, One Piece just came out with a card game, and considering that I work at a like storage facility for a local not card shop, but just like comic book store. You know, they have a bunch of nerdy stuff. We get a lot of that stuff, and obviously we get it early so we can send it to like our 30 stores. So this past Monday we got in like all of the One Piece booster boxes, the four starter decks, some of the card sleeves and that stuff. And we're allowed to put the stuff to the side. So I just had it there on the side. And even though I can put it to the side so I can buy it, I'm not allowed to buy it until it's actually released to the public. So that was this
Okay.
past Friday. So I was just waiting there, like Monday. Oh, it's there. Oh, I want to open it up. Oh, the box toppers, this and that. And I just couldn't wait to take it home and play it. And I was so excited just to have a new card game. I like getting in on things when they first started. I think you and I, when we were living together, even did that for like some mobile games of like, oh, this game's only like 5 days old. Maybe we can make it to like the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah,
So
Laura's Raid was one of them.
yeah, exactly. So between it being brand new, between it being, One Piece, which is a huge franchise and I enjoy it, even if I'm not, as crazy about it as some other people, and it just being, a card game in general, I was super hyped for it. So I got it this past Friday. I took it home. My girlfriend and I played with the starter decks. We've switched it around between them because there's four opening starter decks. She really enjoys it. She finds it easier to play than the Digimon card game. So we had fun with that. And then our mutual friend Matthew has been watching One Piece lately. So I was like, hey, bitch, I know that my Wi Fi's out, but I will find a way to stream me opening the booster packs
Ooh.
if you want me to. So I did that on my phone as we were doing a call. And yeah, he was like my price guide man of like, oh, that's a nice poll. That's $15. Oh, they have this character in the game. Oh, there's three versions of Crocodile and stuff like that. So I actually convinced him where he's just like, man, I'm thinking that I got to get into this game now. So he's talking about potentially getting it, and there's a big tournament that happens in Long Beach in February. So my dad recently got like $5,000 of airplane credit. So it's just like, shit, man. I might be going out to Long Beach and doing that with Matthew. And I mean, hey, if that happens, then I'll see you while I'm there. But yeah.
Wouldn't that be one hell of a way to reunite? You and him being like, I don't know, you'd be your version of Yugi and Kaiba walking up. Not that I already forgot the name of the main character, and the quiz was less than 2 months ago. But you get the idea. That would actually be pretty fun. You're building yourself a little like trio community here.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just thinking about, I put some stuff beside at my work before, be it like Digimon stuff, be it like manga, but very rarely am I like, oh man, I can't wait to get it. It's, I'm happy for it, I'm excited, but it's not something where it's like, it brings you that childish joy of just like, oh, I can't wait. But this One Piece card game, even if it's not as strong as like, 6, 7 year old me, this definitely had that feeling to it. So I was
Yeah.
curious if you have any examples. It doesn't specifically have to be Christmas presents, birthday presents, anything. I know, especially with you, your birthday's in June or July. Whatever, July.
Which
There
one
it
is
is.
it?
It's July. I
Y-
remember.
You have a
Uh,
very specific way of remembering. I was gonna say if you don't remember.
I know that's what I had to think back to, but yeah. So there's a big enough gap where my birthday is December 28th, so like my Christmas and birthday are basically the same thing. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, no, I always felt lucky as a summer baby because you had to double up on gifts, whereas you kinda got the short end of the straw.
Well, the
But
worst part wasn't even about like doubling up with family stuff. It was just like whenever I held birthday parties as a child, everyone's on winter break and doing family vacation. So it's like, I guess I'll have my party like late January when we're back at school.
yeah, happy birthday, you're 1
Y-
month late.
Yeah, but without getting too side track, do you
Yeah.
have anything that comes to mind off the top of your head?
Well, off the top of my head, yeah, this is something that okay, I was very hyped for it as a kid. You remember do you remember those robots that were always advertised, like the standing, walking, white and black?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
black and white thing, and they also had like the Raptor version of it.
Yeah, there was a raptor version. There was also one that was like, there's no animal this compares to, but it was kinda like a four-legged creature that had a neck and head sticking out. Also, there was a panda. Point being, I had 3 out of 4 of those. The only one I didn't have was the raptor.
Weren't
Like,
they? At least I know the robot and the Raptor because I had both of those at one point. Those were like $100 to $200 gifts. You had three of those.
yeah, no, I mean, I didn't get them all 1 year. Like, they were broke up between more than 1 year, don't
You
worry.
just got the same thing in a different shape every year for 4 years.
It kinda seems like it now that I look back on it. But no, like, I don't know, I don't know how that happened. I guess it was just always on commercials, like Saturday morning cartoons, and I was always like, "Huh, that looks pretty cool." And of course, I didn't have any like internet at the time to look up and realize they were actually pretty fucking lame.
Yeah.
But you'd think I would have learned the lesson after the first one, but really, I don't think it was me. I think it was my grandpa who like kept making that mistake because he's the one who kept getting it for me.
Okay, that makes it. So were
So
you just like excited for all of them, or was there a specific one that you remember the feeling with? Or yeah,
I think probably the one I was most excited for was actually the weird four-legged one. I'm just gonna see if I can find a picture for you in the meantime while I talk,
yeah,
because like, it had the coolest commercial, it seemed like it had the most ability out of all of it. It's just I think that was also the first one out of all of them too, so I wasn't already jaded by the time I got to the others about their
really.
capabilities.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was a dinosaur kid, so I was super hyped for the Raptor one. But I remember the first one that I got was the big ass robot guy, and it was cool. But also, like, it's something where as a kid you're like, "Wow, this is so amazing! It's my robot." And I'm sure as a kid I did enjoy it and that stuff. But I remember like the first of all big ass remote, which looked like a giant TV remote that you used to control it. Like, if you moved forward on that thing, the robot walked, but it was probably making like an inch worth of distance per step.
Right? Which is the most underwhelming thing. You're like, "Come on, come here." It's like when you tell a pet to come to you, but it doesn't wanna come. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that I was expecting it to be, break out in a mad sprint or anything, but like as a kid, also I remember getting like electric race cars and stuff like that. So it's just like, okay, I was hoping that this thing could at least have some speed to it.
I would hope that it would have some ability at all, but these toys were really underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie, but they looked cool as hell in the commercial, so I was hyped, and when I got them, let me tell you, I was even more hyped. I
Yeah.
I sent you a picture of Discord of what they look like.
All right, let me pull it up. Discord.com.
Yeah, so it's a WowWee robot for anyone listening. WowWee used to be a pretty big thing. I don't know if they still are, but just a little four-legged. It doesn't even. It says RoboQuad quadruped. It doesn't even have a name for what.
Quadruped is just a four-legged thing. So
Well,
I
yeah,
guess I guess you're right. Like, oh yeah, this thing. Okay, I remember what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That was the first one I got, and I always thought it was the coolest out of all of them. In all honesty,
Well, I mean, it is the one where I guess you have the most imagination. What is it? Is it a spider? Is it a dog? Is it just something?
it really wasn't clear. But what I liked about it was it had a little camera detection thing, so like it could see obstacles in its way, and it would like cower back and shake its head. That was about all it could do, but still.
Yeah, yeah. But no, that's a good gift. Do you remember about how old you were when that was?
I gotta say, like 7, maybe 6, somewhere around that time frame, which I think sounds about right for when those things were actually popular.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, even on eBay, it says it's being sold as a 2007, so that was pretty spot on.
I thought you were gonna say that it was being sold for $2007, and that would have
Oh,
been a
no.
different story.
But yeah, so that was the thing off the top of my head. You know, I'll pass off the mic to you because we're definitely sitting next to each other doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
yeah.
And that's why your mic was so shitty last week, but great for me. Um, well, one for me that was also in recent years, just going off of that memory because it's easier, is before I went to Korea, just like this One Piece card game, there was Digimon stuff that was coming out. And I don't know why, but I guess Digimon just had a resurgence around that time. I think it was like the 20-year anniversary. So the card game came out, and then the figures that are like similar plastic models to like Gundam and that stuff were coming out as well. And I remember I was living with my mom's house, just finishing up college before I was planning on going to Korea. And I just really got into all that stuff as it was coming out. And I didn't want to get the card game because it had like such a limited release and it was being scalped. So the like $12 starter deck was going for like $60 online, but
Right.
the plastic model kit was like selling at face value, MSRP, whatever it's called. So I asked my mom of just like, oh, this thing, it seems like it should be good quality. It's got really good reviews. There's not exactly anything else that I want because when you're old, it gets kind of hard to choose anything of like, cool, can you get me a RTX 3090? It's only $2,000. It's like, okay, I'll give you something that's $100.
Right.
So my mom got me that, and I remember like when it came, it wasn't exactly supposed to be a big surprise, but she still didn't want me to open it until Christmas. But like the more that I saw the box of it, like I would just ask her, "Mom, can I go in the closet and can I look?" And she's like, "No, why the fuck do you want to? You'll get it on Christmas." It's like, I don't think you understand. It looks so cool. So I just got more and more into it as it was there. And I remember when I actually like popped it out and start building it. One, it had like this wave of nostalgia of when I was a kid. It was for War Greymon, which was like my favorite Digimon as a kid. It's the main character's Digimon's like final form, excluding like when it fuses and stuff that happens 20 years later and
I
shit.
thought that was Go Giga Fuck Yourself.
No, no, that Go Giga Fuck Yourself is Yukio. but
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so I was building this thing, and I had never built a Gundam or a model kit before this, but it's now that I have, it's not as detailed as those, but it's still pretty decent detail, and it's a lot better than just like those pre-built figures that you get because it's like made of 500 different pieces that you pop in together. It has a lot of joint mobility, it has a lot of detail and stuff like that. So I remember just the box when building it, like everything. I was just so excited for it. After it was done, I would just stare at it, and I love that thing so much. I mean, I still have it with me. I took it to Korea, I took it back here, and that I was so hyped for. And I mean, I guess it lived up for the hype. It didn't advertise that it would walk, so nothing let down there, unlike the robot stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I think that's cool in a lot of ways because the one thing I ran into when I moved out was I had nothing to like decorate the place, so everyone complimented me saying, "You have such a nice minimalist apartment." It's like, bruh, that's just because I have nothing to decorate it. So that kind of helps make your space, partly yours.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's definitely a unique thing. The only downside is now that I'm living in a studio and I have like, 8 Gundam, perfect grade this, Digimon this, it's like shit, I do not have the room for this.
They go under the bed.
Yeah, sadly.
Or you get a bunk bed and take out the bottom bunk and make it a loft bed.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get working on that.
I mean, you used to do that, didn't you?
I
At your
at
dad's house?
my dad's house, but that's just because my dad's a psychopath.
Oh, so that wasn't your choice.
No, no. I mean, I was sleeping on the floor of that room for 6 months before my dad was like, you know what, we should get you a bed in here. It's like, I've been asking you that for 6 months, but thanks. I guess better late than never.
Yeah, I can't say anything on this one because you know my sleeping situation.
Yeah, you've definitely had it worse than me considering how long you've been sleeping in a car, but we've both had not great sleeping situations throughout our lives.
Certainly not. My favorite of yours was when you're sleeping in the back of your car, but yours is in a hatchback, so you can't lay the seats down.
Yeah.
But no, let me think. Other Christmas gifts, other
Yeah,
things.
go into less depressing topics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the spirit of giving. Come on. Let me think. Other things I really liked. Well,
And
I
like I said, it
guess,
doesn't have to be a Christmas gift, whether it's a birthday gift, whether it's a 4th of July gift, any of that
yeah.
great stuff.
Well, I guess one thing that I was actually pretty hyped for at the time was Uh, it was our first, like, flat screen TV because, I was always using those what are they, like, CRT, the big, like, tubular ones?
Yeah, the ones with the red, white, and yellow cables.
I had that for, like, a disturbingly long amount of time. I didn't get my own TV till, like, late middle school, early hi no, yeah, late middle school, I think, sounds about right.
When you
Maybe
say your own, you mean like for your room?
yeah, for my room. 'Cause I was always using the CRT thing in my room before that. Like, my brother had a HD TV, so I would go into his room when I could tolerate him and, like, hang out with him there. But, like, my own, I didn't get until high school or late middle school, and I still have that TV to this day. It's not very great anymore. I've been thinking of upgrading, but at the time, let me tell you, it rocked my world. Like, I could move it whenever I needed. I didn't need 4 people to help me carry it. I could, plug in multiple things, not have to unplug, replug the different like red, yellow, white cable. It was just fantastic for what I needed it for.
Dude, I mean, you saying that though, with not needing to do that with the cables, I think it's funny. I'm not sure if you feel the exact same way, but how stuff goes from like, this is outdated, I don't like it, and then like 10 to 20 years later, it's like, no, it's retro. It reminds me of when I was not a depressed adult. I like it. Where I'm even thinking of like, man, should I get a CRT? I think I still have my GameCube back at like my dad's place. I can ask him to send it to me. And it's like, man, 10, 15 years ago, I'd be like, man, I want an HD TV. Now it's like, oh no, fuck HD TVs. Give me a big old box TV.
Well, I mean, I've thought about it because, as you know, like I'm big into emulation, and you've done emulation too. So
Yeah,
like, it it is better for the authentic feeling. It really depends on where you sit on the fence of getting the authentic feeling versus upscaling graphics a little bit.
yeah.
Like, granted, only so much upscaling can be done, and like it'll still kind of look a little wonky in a lot of people's opinion. I've never had issues with it, but point being, like, it just depends. It is a different vibe. There are legitimate arguments both sides, in my opinion, on this one.
Yeah, well, I am curious with you and your TV thing. What were you excited about for it? Was it just the fact that it was HD? Did you have a specific game you wanted to play? Were you just like, man, I can't wait to watch SpongeBob no longer in 4 by 3 or what?
Well, what happened was I guess I saw the potential of HD on my brother's TV, and it was getting a little awkward playing games like Red Dead Redemption on a CRT. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah, I forgot when middle school was. For me, middle school still feels like 5 years ago, but at this point, I guess it was 10 years ago.
yeah, so, like, at a certain point, like, playing Fallout 3 on a CRT, that just isn't right. So, yeah, I'm pretty glad, when I got the HD TV and it was like, "Oh my god, this looks, like, worlds better, like, it's almost made for this kind of thing."
It is made for that kind of thing, Jonathan.
Yeah, so it kinda just revolutionized my world a little bit, so admittedly, that was a pretty good one.
Okay, that's fair enough. For me, another one that I thought of, which I'm really seeing that I'm going down the path of just like, man, I'm really into card games or things adjacent to them. Whether it be the Digimon thing, which now has a card game, One Piece thing, which is a card game. When I was a kid, I was head over heels for Yu-Gi-Oh. And like I got really into it when I was in middle school and I went to like regional tournaments. But when you're a kid, you don't really care about the rules. You're just like, oh, I got the red eyes black dragon, shit like that, and it's cool. And I remember one year for Christmas, I got my parents probably went on eBay or something at the time, or maybe to a local card store, and they got me like the Blue Eyes White Dragon. They got me three of it. They got me Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. They got me Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. They got me like every iteration of Blue Eyes at the time that existed.
Right.
And me being like whatever age I was at the time, 7 or something, in my head, I still thought it was just like so fucking amazing because in the card game universe, it's like there's only four Blue Eyes White Dragon in existence, and the main character, Kaiba, ripped up the fourth one, so there's only three in existence. So this card's super rare and super good. Where like when you go back to the actual origins of like competitive gameplay, it's like no one played Dark Magician, Blue Eyes was whatever, like Summon Skull was so much better and all of this shit. But just as a kid, I'm like, wow, this card's so rare and amazing, despite it being probably one of the cards with the most absolute reprints, even at the time. But
I know literally what you mean. It's like when you're playing Pokemon, it's like, "I got a Pikachu, I'm never gonna evolve and keep him a Pikachu," and then you get older, you're like, "Wow, there's literally no competitive benefit to that."
yeah, exactly. The Pikachu, or whether it's like, you end up catching Dialga, and it's like, look, I got Dialga. It's like, great. Yeah, they give you a master ball before that, and it's like after the sixth gym in the game, assuming you played through it, everyone caught Dialga or Palkia, you know? So
Yeah, or
but when you're a
Giratina.
stupid kid, you're like, this is so amazing. I got this super awesome thing. So I even remember telling all my friends about it. And I also got the three God cards at the same time. Those were also in the Yu Gi Oh quiz for you. And I thought they looked so cool. They had the same like red, yellow, and blue sheen to them that they had in the show, which also meant that they weren't legal cards to play. But, I
Oopsie.
was 7 or 8, so who gave a shit? And I remember that I was so hyped for them that I was even like, oh, the Winged Dragon of Ra is the strongest one. It's the coolest one. I have to hide it, that way no one takes it and it can be my special, hidden card. So I like put it under a placemat in the kitchen or something, went back like a day or two later and it wasn't there. And I'm not if someone not sure if someone accidentally threw it in the trash as they were cleaning shit out, or if my brother like took it and tried to sell it or something, or what the case was. But literally one of the cards that I was the most hyped about, I like hid so no one could take it from me, and then it either got thrown away or taken from me.
That is literally so upsetting, though. Like, you're telling me about your favorite Christmas presents, you're like, "Oh, by the way, it just got jacked from me." Like,
Yeah. Oh.
that seems kinda like a buzzkill at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, you have no idea how long I would just like, oh, well, it's been a couple months, but maybe if I check again now, I don't know, maybe it's like between the couch cushions. Maybe someone like put
Aw.
it in this thing. So I would always like, I never cried about it because in my head, it's just like, well, who the fuck would steal this thing? Like, clearly, I think it's valuable because I hid it, as an 8-year old. But also, none of my parents played this stuff. So in my head, I'm also like, I wonder if it's like Egyptian magic, like from the show or
Oh,
something.
god.
Maybe
And
I just have to be a worthy enough duelist and it will show up in front of me again. But yeah, I never saw it again. So
little
sad.
did you know you were a kid experiencing grief for the first time, you're in denial.
Yeah, but I never got past that stage.
Not even to this day.
No, I kind of went from denial back to step zero of just like, nope, we're not even grieving about it yet.
Nope, nope, can't process that. But nah, dang, that's a shame how that turned out, to be honest.
Yeah, but could you muster up any more that you thought of?
So I'm actually gonna take it a different way and get away from Christmas presents.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna say like it's kind of funny because a lot of times like I never know actually what I really want, particularly in terms of what other people can get me. But sometimes some of the most meaningful things have been like spontaneous gifts that people get for me. So I'm just
Hmm.
gonna like rattle off a few of them right off the top of my head. One thing I always wanted my whole life was a coaster, but
A
like
coaster.
yeah, because my family never uses coasters. They just put their stuff on wooden, like, desks and, like, let the rings form, and it's really aggravating.
I I guess like that makes sense to me, but that's also like so depressing and basic of a gift. But okay, so coaster, you really wanted a coaster.
Yeah, and I don't know why I didn't just go out of my own way for one. It's like I always wanted one, but it wasn't a big enough priority to get one, I guess.
Hmm.
And one of my best friends, at the time, he worked at a CNC thing, which is pretty close to what I did. Like, in his case, he was working with plastics and, like, 3D printing and whatnot.
Hmm.
And he 3D printed me like a fake wood, but still like it was supposed to be a wood like coaster thing with my name on it. So it was like it had a cool aesthetic to it, and I use it literally every single day since I got it, except when I'm not at home.
Oh, okay. So I mean, that's a solid gift then.
Yeah, literally, like in terms of utility, probably one of the gifts I've used the most ever, like in my entire life. Like, thing pretty great, and it was just a nice thing for him. I don't think it was. It might have been close to Christmas. I don't recall, but it was just, or maybe close to my birthday. I don't remember, but it was just a pretty nice gesture. Like I
Yeah,
genuinely really like that,
nice,
and the
nice.
fact that he knew to get it for me, and I don't think I brought it. Maybe I did at some point. I probably did, but it's just like, dang, he knew me pretty well. That's what I needed.
Yeah, I would assume that you had to have mentioned it at some point because otherwise, that's a really random thing to just give to you.
Even still, though, like pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Beyond that, because I'm just gonna rattle off a few gifts here that people, have given me at
Okay.
various points. Another one was actually from that same friend. When we were getting into Dance Dance Revolution, he got me a sweat towel and one of those like Japanese fans to cool yourself off with,
Mhm.
because like the AC wasn't suitable enough for how many people were in there and how hard we were dancing, if you could call it that. So yeah, we would just be sitting there dehydrated, panting like dogs, just fanning ourselves off and wiping the sweat off. It was quite the sight because also none of us are Japanese, so it was just always kind of funny. But I mean, in terms of utility, that thing got a lot of utility before we all somehow lost our towels and fans.
It's just like my Winged Dragon of Ra. Clearly, there's someone who steals people's most valuable gifts.
Right? No, I was in denial for that one for a while. I checked around my house several times trying to find it, and I never found it. I don't know what happened to that thing. Maybe I just left it out one day because I was so exhausted after DDR. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But let's see. One other thing that was kind of nice that someone got for me spontaneously was I was mentioning that it was getting cold during winter. And sleeping in my car, there's not too much I can do there.
You can
So
cover yourself with your coaster to keep you warm.
there we go. I mean, I could roll up the windows and turn on the heater for a while, but like that's only a temporary measure. Like after enough hours, that's not going to have any effect. So
Yeah.
eventually, you just got to deal with it. And one of my friends was like, "Wow, that's shitty." So they got me a little like Mexican blanket, that kind of thing, to like
What
throw
makes
in
it a
my.
Mexican blanket?
I think it's like the style of stitching or whatever. Let me provide you a Google image as I continue with it. So she
Okay.
got me that, and she also got me some of the Samyang spicy noodles, which is,
Oh.
you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
one of my favorite things. She also got me a different kind of noodle. That way I can make the dish from like uh Parasite, where they mixed the two different kind of noodles together and like added like chopped steak into it and everything. It was
Oh
pretty
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
interesting. I preferred just the spicy noodles, but it was a good dish to try once.
Oh yeah, you sent me the blankets, and I know exactly what you mean. I feel like in elementary school, when they have those like giant ass literature books that have 45 stories in them.
Yeah.
I feel like I had to have read at least, two or three stories by like Hispanic born writers that had this exact blanket in the story.
I'm assuming the blanket is actually like culturally significant. I just wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah, you and me both.
But I mean, it was still a thoughtful gift. And it was kind of nostalgic too, because my grandfather would have like two or three of these at his place at a given time. I was like,
Okay.
huh, this is the same thing. And yeah, I still do use it to this day because believe it or not, winter still gets cold given this global warming crisis.
Well, I mean, considering you live in California, that is the most surprising part.
Well, cold for California is very different than cold for like Michigan, for example.
Yeah, that would be a different thing if you're sleeping in your car in winter in Michigan.
I think I would literally be dead.
I think you would too. I remember my dad and I went to Idaho and he left a Coke in the car overnight in winter and we
It's
came
just
back
straight up
to
ice.
it exploded in the car. So,
Okay, so I've had a thing explode in my car from being so hot. That happens when it gets so cold too?
yeah, like haven't your parents told you to like never put canned beverages in the freezer?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The yeah, I guess I just never really thought about it, yeah. And also,
Yeah,
I just don't stick stuff in the freezer that often.
that
I'm a
that is
patient
fair.
I'm a patient man, Dylan.
Well, something that I was going to bring up, and I'm interested if you have one, is a video game that I was super hyped for. This
I
was
do
not,
have a video game.
yeah, because this was also not for Christmas. This was actually, I bought myself this, but I mean, I'll get to why it was still, so nice and surprising. But I assumed for you, like Red Dead 2, I know your parents got you.
Yeah,
But for me, I was really hyped, partially thanks to you, for Final Fantasy 15.
my bad, sorry.
Well, I even remember that's like half of the reason why I got my first job. My junior year of high school, I got a job at the now non-existent Kmart, and I got a seasonal job there. And like my first purchase was buying a PS4, and I pre-ordered Final Fantasy 15 through like GameStop or something. And I asked my mom, "Oh, on the way home, GameStop can you kind of pass that mall? Can you go by and pick it up?" And my mom had like gone out of her way on her lunch break to pick it up, that way it was there for me when I got home, instead of like waiting until she got off work at like 5 or something. So
Yeah.
I was just so excited because I was always like, oh man, I can't wait for this, I can't wait for this. And it really does show how influenced I was by you or just other people, because it's like, man,
Oopsie.
I played Final Fantasy 3 and like most of 4 on the Nintendo DS, but beyond that, like I haven't really played much of Final Fantasy. And I mean, like I like JRPGs, PSPs, but I was way more hyped for that than I think that I deserved to be. But I loved the game, so I was just like enjoying it. The graphics were great because prior to that, I only had, an Xbox 360, and the things that I played on that were like Civ Revolution and shit like that. Nothing with amazing graphics. So the
Yeah.
graphics were a huge step up. The gameplay was fun, even if it did have some faults here and there. I enjoyed it overall, even though by no means was it a perfect game. And then lo and behold, the person who was the most hyped for it, you, who had entered contests, who showed me the
Okay.
pinball game and all that stuff, who I sold my PS4 to with all of my games, including Final Fantasy 15, to this day has not played it 7 years later.
Okay, I'm gonna give a quick justification for that. The demo and tech provided before release was very different from the game that was actually released. Like, the demo genuinely made it seem like a Kingdom Hearts-esque game, and then I'm like, "Oh, it's literally just like a bro save the kingdom thing," which isn't bad by any means, and I heard the game actually was pretty good in certain parts. It's just it wasn't what I was hyped for, so I just kinda never got around to it. 'Cause, like, I'll send you the thing right now, you won't watch it right now, obviously,
I
but the
played the
demo.
demo.
Okay, so you're okay, I think you're probably familiar with it then, how you're like, Kid Noctis against the big creature, you had the little creature helping you out, you, like, shrink and grow, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
talking
I
all
remember it.
and they talked all philosophically. It was like I even talked to like one of my best friends about it, who's both a big Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy fan, and we were both like, "Yeah, this is literally Kingdom Hearts for adults." Little did we know we would later get that with Near Replicant in the first half of the game. But point being, yeah, that's like what we were expecting. So when the game actually came out, both me and him were like, "Yeah, our hype is kind of dead." Not because the game is actually bad by any means, but just not what we got hyped for.
I feel that that is fair and respectable, but I am also annoyed that it took you 7 years to tell me this, because I have brought it up to you several times before of like Final Fantasy 15. Hey, you have Final Fantasy
It's
15, and you
better
have
as a
never once
meme.
decided to give me a justifiable reason. And I feel like giving you shit, but no, that's just a reasonable reason. Why did it take you so long to tell me this?
I kinda like the meme behind it, though. It would always get you aggravated, and it was like, "Huh, yeah, it does sound kind of unreasonable, doesn't it?"
Yeah, I hate you. Okay, this is why
But
you have a chain wallet.
yeah. Oh my goodness. See, that's another meme that is, not based on objective truth. But
Yeah.
beyond that, the other thing I was gonna say was, oh, yeah, yeah. So, in spite of me having not played it and getting you overhyped, do you think in a way maybe that helped shape your current love and appreciation for JRPGs? Because up to that point, as far as I'm aware, all you really played was like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, like nothing outside of monster universe-based RPGs, right?
No, I played a lot. Like I said, I
Oh,
played
had
Final
you?
Fantasy 3 and 4, the remakes for the DS. I had played uh, dude, I mean, I wish I could tell you the name, but you know how Square Enix comes out like with 27 different titles that are not Final Fantasy, but they all have the same storyline of the crystals have chosen you to protect the light. So I played, several of those on the DS. The DS was like my main thing for that. I remember there was like the Legend of like it wasn't Hercules, it was like Hurricles or something like that, which I think is the actual spelling of Hercules or some shit. I don't know. I remember
Yeah.
there was one where you're like in space, but rather than you having like space guns and shit, you still fight with swords, and you're at like a magic academy in space, which I don't know what the fuck that's about. But yeah, I played Fossil Fighters. I played lots of JRPG games. They were all on the DS though.
Okay, so that game wasn't actually all that impactful on you per se, but it was a good game nonetheless.
I mean, it was my real dud because that was like the first thing that I bought myself with having real adult money, quote unquote. So it was like you and I played on the PS4 a lot, whether it be
Yeah.
Bloodborne, whether it be us doing, YouTube K-pop dance things to AOA and shit like that. So it was impactful for me, with the things going around it, but the game itself I super enjoyed. But I don't think that it's like, man, I really wish that more games were like that. Beyond the fact that I really enjoyed the graphics.
Well, what can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah.
Uh, but no, no, I totally get you. Let me think. Did I get any good like video game based presents in my life other than Red Dead Redemption 2, which you mentioned? I think
Yeah.
I mentioned on past episodes too. Let me think. Well, I remember my parents did get me a PS. Well, I mean, I guess for Christmas I got PS3s. I've gotten Nintendo DSs. I've gotten PSPs. I got two PSPs because they kept breaking. They were not very durable if you remember.
Well, I got a PSP Go, the one that only could connect to the PlayStation internet, and I remember my internet was so shit and none of my family were like tech savvy enough to help me with it. So I got it for Christmas like one year, for 6th grade or something. I literally played 0 games on it, and then like in ninth grade I had enough tech savviness and maybe our internet was better. But it's like, "Oh, here's how you hook it up." And I played the shit out of God Eater Burst on it, and
Yeah.
then like after that the PlayStation store, the old style, closed, and then the thing was essentially a useless console.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know if we had to be connected to the internet before this or not, but, like, I heard that either the PS Vita or PS Go were, like, amazing emulation machines, but, I mean, I don't think you still have it, so I don't know if that's any use to you, that
I'd believe it
information.
more for the Vita than I would for the Go.
Yeah, I think it was probably the Vita because I think the Vita also had 2 analog sticks, I don't know if the Go did.
I don't think the Go did, and if it did, I remember that because it was like the size of a small, yeah, those phones that they weren't like flip phones, but they were like slide phones.
Yeah, those things were sick at the time.
It was essentially exactly that. It would slide open, and it was about that size.
Wow, everyone must have been so jealous.
Yeah, me playing that in my ninth grade health class.
But nah, let me think. Other actual gifts. So I'm just having to think about what gifts I've actually got, and my memory is like, who, not there.
Well, if you need me to go again, I can tell you stuff.
Well, I could flip it around actually to like gifts I've given, if that's
Oh, I
acceptable.
I was gonna flip it around to gifts that I hated, which is really more just me shitting on myself as a child because I was such an ass of a child.
Okay, I mean, hell, it sounds like you got something you're passionate about right there, right off the bat. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, as you and I have talked about, we feel like we've grown. Each year we look back and like, man, last year I was such a piece of shit, and the next year you look back and it's like, man, I was such a piece of shit. So,
Yeah,
you
but we're
know,
never currently pieces of shit, only in the
yeah,
past.
yeah, not until the future when the present becomes the past. So, I remember as a kid, I was a spoiled piece of shit and I wanted everything my way. So, I remember back before the days of smartphones, if you wanted to listen to music and it wasn't on your computer, you had an MP3 or better yet, an iPod. And
Yeah.
my mom and my brother both had iPod. Was it iPod shuffles that were like the like small rectangular thing with screen that had like Pong and Snake on it as games?
If it had a game, it would have had to have a screen, so I think you're thinking the iPod Nano. I'll send you a picture of
Okay,
that as well.
yeah, let me see. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I honestly I thought that it was the Nano, but I was like, but the shuffle is smaller, so wouldn't it make sense to call that one the Nano? But no, the iPod Shuffle is the one that was just like a little square, and it just had a circle that had play or stop, fast forward, and like scroll through your songs or something.
I always feel like I would've hated that because, like, if you wanna get to a song you wanna get to, it's like, well, hopefully it's next up in the queue sometime soon.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted an iPod Nano because that's what my family had, but I got an iPod Shuffle. And I remember that me, as my like 7-year-old self or whatever, was just fucking livid because it was in my Christmas stocking. It was just like, this isn't what I wanted. Why did Santa get me this? He should know when I'm sleeping. He should know when I'm awake. He should know
I
I've been good
mean
enough to get me the thing that I fucking want.
I
So,
I
uh,
mean, I wanna make fun of you, calling you ungrateful, but I was kinda just dunking on the shuffle, and I stand by those comments, so I don't really blame you.
yeah, I mean, I still hate myself for it, but when you're 7 and you think that money grows on trees and that you deserve everything, it is what it is. But I remember my dad even took me to my room and he's just like, "Oh, don't worry, Santa got you that because he knows that we're gonna get you the iPod Nano." And I'm just like, oh
Aw.
my fucking god. My dad, who has bought this for me, then has to console me that he still bought me this $100 thing, which I'm only gonna listen to like hybrid theory on. um and yeah, so I got fucking pissed about it. They never got me the iPod Nano, which
That's
rightfully
what you
so.
get.
Like I was such a little piece of shit. But I remember that's one of those things that I was like so pissed about and crying as a child. And now just looking back, it's like, man, if I could go back and strangle myself, I would.
No, I completely get that though. Uh, I'm gonna hijack this a little bit to talk about how like an iPod Nano I think shifted my worldview a little bit. Um, I think I've told you this story before, not the whole thing, but Uh, at one point, Disney was doing a sweepstakes where the grand prize was an iPod Nano.
That's
I
such a
entered
shitty sweepstakes.
I know, but, like, I entered one time exactly, and I think I even didn't do all that great on, like, the game or quiz or trivia thing they had to do beforehand, I don't remember, I just know I didn't do that great, but
Okay.
I won the grand prize. Like,
You
I
did.
I got the iPod Nano, it just came in the mail, and I was like, "Oh, I completely forgot that I even entered for that."
What's
So,
with
like
you and winning shit? For Final Fantasy 15 as well, didn't you, like, win
yeah.
a necklace or something?
Yeah, I won a necklace for that. Also, a competition in elementary school. This is kind of ironic, but I won a bike. For listeners, didn't actually learn how to ride a bike till 2 weeks ago, so that's kind of ironic.
Are you
But
still in
point
elementary school?
yeah, yeah, it's a little weird that you have a podcast with, elementary I'm like young Sheldon, haha.
Oh
What
god.
a horrible thing to compare myself to. But, all jokes aside, no, I've just consistently been really good at winning things throughout my life and sweepstakes and whatnot. So I think that's, like, had an influence on me to where, like, I'll buy lottery tickets, like, I have a limit I cannot buy before it's 600,000,000, and then once it's 600,000,000, I can only buy once a week. That way,
Mhm.
like, I limit how much of a problem it is. But, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Why can't I win it? I won those other things that were, like, exponentially awful odds." They weren't, like, 1 in 292,000,000, like I think the lottery is. But, like, it's still, like, 1 out of every single kid in the school, 1 out of every single person who entered the Disney, sweepstakes. So it's, like, in the back of my mind, I think because I've been so good at winning things throughout my life, I'm always like, "Hmm, why not me?"
Yeah,
I
it's kind of
think
warped your perception of, like, "Okay, I've won the lottery once before, so that means I can do it again."
yeah,
It's
I
a
think
skill-based thing, luck.
I think it's unironically given me a little bit of main character syndrome, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, that is fair.
But yeah, as far as, gifts that, may have been not necessarily what we wanted, uh, hold up, drawing this out a little bit, don't worry, 'cause my
Okay,
parents are in
well,
the area.
if you don't have it, then,
No,
you
I
don't have
have it, my parents are in the area, and I don't want them to feel bad.
Oh god.
Can you guys close your door? There we go, there we go. You can go again while I wait for them to comply.
Okay, I once Jonathan, I was not expecting you to throw this on me. I remember when you got me Garfield Kart for the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, you even went to your mom's house and you didn't take it home. I'm upset about that. You could have gotten so many good hours out of that game.
Yeah, so many like 30-minute play sessions.
Okay, I'm good to go now.
Okay, please go. I
So,
don't have anything to say.
last year my mom got me a smartwatch. But the thing was, like, I had to download an app for it to work, and, like, I saw the company, actually, that was the problem, I didn't see a company. Like, I looked all over the watch, I didn't see anything. I looked all over the box, I didn't see anything. It was just a labelless brown box that was basically just a little bigger than the watch,
So she
and
got it on a wish.com is what I'm
well,
understanding.
something like that. Because I even looked up the app, and it had, like, no reviews, and I'm like, I am not installing this on my phone and connecting it because, like, I don't wanna get some kind of weird spyware or whatever on it. So I just never used it, and I was like, "Dang, hopefully she didn't pay that much for it."
Oh my god, that is so depressing. You should go back and look at it now. Maybe it was like new one of a kind technology.
I don't think so. I would hope they would at least have something on the box if that was the case.
No, no, it's underground shit. But
Beyond that, though, they also got me a Patriots doll, a Tom Brady doll, and
I got you a
Patriots
Tom Brady pillow.
yeah, but at least I could get utility out of that.
I
Like,
I guess
I don't want a doll of a man staring at me at all times.
a man who kisses his son on the lips.
Yeah, I wish he would kiss me on the lips.
Okay.
But all jokes aside, and then also, like, Patriot socks, I'm not a huge sock guy, to be honest. Like, I've always found the idea of cute, fun socks on other people to be, like, entertaining, but that's on other people. On me, I just want, like, a functional sock. So I've never, got much use out of that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I think clothes, especially as a child, or just things that people choose for you that aren't your style, are always a bad thing. But
Yeah, I don't know. That's just not the way to go for me.
yeah, I was gonna say though, you know what is the best gift of all?
What?
listening to another episode of the podcast. So, this doesn't make sense if you're listening to it right now, as in the time that this episode releases. But if you're listening to it in the future, on the off chance that this becomes successful whatsoever, listen to the next episode. So,
Oh, are we done?
we are done. So,
Oh,
ta-ta for now. Unless
oh,
you're
okay.
binge listening, then ta-ta. And see you again right now.
I toot toot for new.